Hi Yogi, it's Bri again. So in this video we're going to go upside down. We're going to start to talk about the most accessible way or the most widely practiced way to kick into handstand, which is that one-legged kick up. The biggest problem with the one-legged kick up though is that it uses, or we tend to use, a lot of momentum. And when we use momentum, all of that engagement that we've worked on through the exercises in the past two videos is gone. So I'm going to show you give you some tools that you can use for your own practice, some tools that we use in our teacher trainings on a daily basis to help students really begin to strengthen their handstand practice. So much like all of the videos we've done so far, opening the wrists, strengthening the wrists is a good way to start. I'll show you one or two wrist warm-ups that I use all of the time. And this one here that we're going to start with isn't just a wrist warm-up. As you start to do it, you'll see that it's also a forearm and bicep and tricep warm-up. So you're going to start in that tabletop position, which, as you know by now, is my go-to position for alignment and engagement for a handstand practice. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, hands about shoulders distance or wider if needed for tight shoulders. Grip with the fingertips. And from here, you're going to keep the metacarpals, so the base knuckles down on both hands, and just begin to lift the heel of the hand up and down. Up and down. And you'll always feel that crack at first, which for me is sadistically yummy. Try your best as you lift the heel of the hand up to really root through the index finger knuckles. There might be a little bit of shaking. If it's really difficult, it's a little bit easier to do with the shoulders and knees slightly behind the wrists. If you want a little more of a challenge, keep the shoulders right over the wrists. 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Sitting back, gently shaking the hands out. Hopefully you're feeling warm enough. We're going to start with downward facing dog. One of my favorite ways that I personally prep myself anytime I'm going to do handstand work. Down dog is a great way to find strength in the arms, to find the correct alignment in the shoulders, that knit of the ribs for your core engagement, and that open back body. So stretching into the back, the glutes, and even the hamstrings, calves, ankles, everything that you need. From here, once again, Uttanasana, one of the most useful poses for the hamstrings. Little bend in the knees, lift the quads, hang over the thighs. And what I want you to do here is not only open the hamstrings in your fold, but practice beginning to use your glutes here to support. So as you fold down, think about lifting the outer hips up and almost squeezing the butt together. At the same time, I want you to press the inner thighs back to counter that action, and then use your adductors to squeeze the legs into the midline. And you'll find that strong trunk in the lower body. All of those muscles, the glutes, the adductors, the quadriceps working in unison to support you. Couple of breaths here. We're going to go straight from here into a standing split. So I really want you to open those hamstrings and feel ready for that. Fingertips underneath your shoulders. Inhale to a flat back. Now, standing on your right foot, lift your left leg up. You can floint the foot, which tends to be the yogi choice in terms of engaging of the foot. You can point the foot as well, a little bit more style to that, however it may be. And fold down. So for most of us, especially because when we learn yoga through sight. And when we see this pose, we see people lifting the lifted leg really high. And in order to do that, most of us will externally rotate the leg, which, you know, it can be fine and it can help to get a deeper stretch in that standing leg that you're stretching. What is important, again, is that you're using the standing leg glute. So just like you did in your Uttanasana, begin to firm that standing leg glute up
and into the midline. Lift the quad and then begin to fold. How high that left leg or lifted leg goes doesn't even matter. Inhale to a flat back, switch sides. Lift the other leg up. Hold on to the standing leg ankle if you like. And as you fold down, you can lift that lifted leg up as high as you want. A little external rotation of that lifted leg, kind of like an Ardha Chandrasana, isn't bad unless your standing leg hip isn't working, right? You do get a deeper stretch. The higher you lift that leg, just make sure that the glute is working. So take your glute, notice how it's kind of jiggly. We all got some junk in our trunk. Notice how it's kind of jiggly here. Well, if you squeeze it into the midline and begin to lift it up, you can actually feel the muscle beginning to work. Lift that standing leg quad, fold down, and release, sitting down. So now that we've warmed up a little bit, you're feeling like your hamstrings are open. We already know the engagement that we need in the upper body. I'm going to show you the exercise that we're working towards. And this is that most accessible kick up to the wall. Now, everybody's at a different level in their practice. If you're a teacher and you're working with students who are feeling really heavy, or if you yourself feels really heavy when you kick up, it's because maybe you have a bit of lack of awareness. Maybe you have to strengthen a little bit more. And what my goal here is to teach you what muscles you need to use together to help you feel a little bit lighter to get up there. And of course, at first, more momentum is going to be needed to get you up there, but we'll see, all right? So in this video, we're going to use the wall behind us. You'll want to set yourself up about a forearm's distance from the wall. Or what I like to do, this is a little further though, is use a calf's distance or a shin's distance from the wall, and you'll see why once we get up there. So shin's distance, where the bottom of your knee is where your fingertips go. Remembering, again, grip the ground with the fingertips, repetition. Root down through the index finger knuckles, firm the forearms in, and begin to draw the shoulder blades down and the navel in. From here, you're going to come into that standing splits position. You could even start from down dog. Hover your right foot and step it right underneath the belly button. Lift your left leg up. Now here, it's going to be a little bit different from that standing splits position, because the more that you adduct or squeeze both inner thighs in towards one another, the more connection you have to what we call Mula Bandha, which is the pelvic floor muscles lifting. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, all really important pieces to finding engagement from the center. So square the hips, firm the inner thighs in towards one another, rise to the ball of your standing leg foot and push down, draw the navel in. Notice the difference between my chest looking forward and my ribs drawing in, so much so that my gaze ends up between my wrists. So your gaze is so important here. Make sure you're not looking forward of the hands. You want to even look down between the wrists. From there, same thing that we've been working on from the beginning of this tutorial. When you kick up, your gluten, the outer glute here, is going to squeeze in. Think about pulling it towards your QL muscles to kick up. Inhale, exhale, hop off the ground, bring the feet to the wall, both legs. Bend your knees. Now from here, inhale, push through the hands, and exhale, ribs in. From there, step all the way down and take a break. So whether you got up to that wall or not, doesn't really matter. If you're working on getting there, repeating that kick up over and over again is going to be key to getting you there. So let's try the other side. On this other side, you might find that it's harder because we favor one side, and you know, logically, our brain just picks the path of least resistance. So don't beat yourself up if it's hard. Keep trying it. I'm going to do it with you. Measure that shin's distance, hands down. Start in your downward facing dog. Now, aside from the glutes and the QL's working, that action that we've been doing throughout this entire series of descending or lifting the thigh bone up is the key action to kicking up. So most of us will start with the leg open, the lifted leg open. We'll kind of do this donkey kick thing and we'll fling ourselves up. But notice when I do that, I'm already in a back bend. So our hips become even heavier, right? So remember to really begin to start in the smartest place possible. You're prepping from the beginning with the hands rooting down, the ribs drawing in, the gaze between the wrists, then the ball of the foot. From there, use the glute and the QL squeezing together to lift yourself up. This bottom leg pulls up and into the pelvis, just like you did in your downward facing dog. Then once the legs get there, instead of staying in this back bend, bend your knees, toes on the wall, squeeze the inner thighs in towards one another, and just practice pushing down through the hands, drawing the ribs in, and breathing, building endurance in the arms. There you go. Thank you so much. Keep practicing. Know that within your practice, you're doing your best each and every time you step onto the mat. Let go of expectations and just be as present as possible. You are exactly where you need to be. Thank you. Namaste.